little disappointed. I was like, I don't have no dog in the fight at this point. Cowboys lost, so the fandom went out the window. So I'm just looking for good games, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I just hate to see Lamar and the Ravens play the way that they did. After having such a good year and it ended on that thud. It's really hard to see
yeah,
something like that happen to a good team.
yeah, definitely. A lot of people were saying, is it the game plan? Is Mockins a good fit with Lamar? But I mean, he had an MVP caliber season, so
Yeah, yeah.
you can't say it's the offensive coordinator. But I mean,
Hmm.
you can say that in regards to the game plan, the offensive game plan. It just it didn't click. I kind of agree with what Rex Ryan was saying earlier. He had him trying to win from the pocket. You're not
Hmm.
really taking advantage of Lamar's legs and his mobility.
Yeah.
So you gotta John Harbaugh. I mean, for me, it falls back on John Harbaugh.
So I was going to ask you. So being a coach, what did you see, from offensive game plan? Because I agree with you. What makes Lamar special is his legs.
Yeah,
And when you take that element of the game out of there for him, that one run that they had in the first half where he got the big first down, it was a fourth down play, and he got
yeah,
21 yards on that. But I've seen so many other times where it looked like he could have took off, got the first down, get the momentum. They wasn't even getting momentum chunk plays that made them feel like they were in the game. But what do you see as from a coach standpoint, things that he could have maybe done better?
I mean, for me, it's all about exploiting matchups. In football, you get a matchup that's favorable. You have to exploit
Hmm.
those matchups. And if you notice the matchup with Zay Flowers
Yeah,
against their secondary,
yeah,
Zay was slicing them. I mean, why not
hmm,
keep going back to that? And mix
yeah,
in a little bit of Lamar's legs as well. I just felt like Zay didn't touch it enough. You
hmm,
know, I mean, potentially you could generate a lot more points by keeping the defense off balance and taking what they give you. And it just seems like that guy was stubborn, just had Lamar sitting back, reading the defense, and then they played a lot of zone coverage, and Lamar should have the liberty to just take off when he sees zone coverage. But
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I want to give Spagnola credit. Whatever game plan that he came up with, it definitely looked like those guys was on one page.
Yeah.
We talk about the running lanes. I didn't see a lot of running lanes, but Lamar's special. The running lanes don't have to be there for him to be able to create with his legs. So, I hear people talking about that, but I just saw a guy that seemed he was a little bit hesitant. He held onto the ball too long a couple of plays. Some throws that he was making all year, in the regular season for whatever reason he was hesitant on the trigger. So I
Yeah.
don't know if it was his nervousness about the game. I don't know what it was, but that wasn't the Lamar Jackson that we've seen that's going to become the 2024 MVP. And that's what
Yeah.
I'll stick by when I look at it.
Yeah. And you have to give credit to Kansas City defense. They've been solid all year. What are they, the number
Yeah.
two defense in the league?
Hmm.
Like you say, Spagnola had an excellent game plan for him. I think that the zone coverages were confusing him a little bit, and like you said, they were trying to take away his running lanes. But when it's Lamar Jackson, what linebacker can he not beat 1-on-1?
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
so I feel like their offensive coordinator was handcuffing Lamar a little bit in that game, and should have given him the liberty at halftime. They should have made the adjustment, giving him
Hmm.
the liberty to take off. And I didn't see that. And like I said, I blame Harbaugh for that because he should have intervened and say, "Hey, look, this is what I want. This is what they're giving us." And it just seemed like we never got that because I was
Well,
waiting for Lamar to explode in that second half.
Well, speaking of adjustment second half, I'm looking at the defensive coordinator for the Mike McDonald for the Ravens because no way Travis Kelsey should be going 11 for 11 on targets, 100 over 130 yards, a touchdown. Why are we not adjusting to what they're doing? You seeing that the zone is not working, and we know Patrick Mahomes. He's going to eat up a zone for lunch anytime. And I
Yeah,
get this is what we do as a team, principle wise, as far as defensive scheme, but I mean, you can't allow Mahomes just to pick you apart. What do you have, like 6 or 7 incompletions the whole
yeah,
game? And
yeah,
it's like, I see it happening. It's like death by a thousand paper clips, as they say. You just see he's dinking and dunking, and Travis Kelsey is getting open. And it just felt like the Ravens, I don't know. I hate to say it, but the moment felt too big. I know, like, you
yeah,
got Mahomes. Here he is. That's the guy, whatever you want to call him nowadays, the new Brady. He's coming to town. at the beginning of the game, Kelsey's over there kicking Justin Tucker out the way, telling him you got to. So he comes, take your lunch, tells your kicker to move, and you guys just sit there and took it. And that's the most disappointing thing about it for me, Kurt.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you got to ask yourself, it's what Monken's first year as an offensive coordinator for the Ravens. You got to ask yourself, was the moment too big for him?
Mm-hmm.
As well as that defensive coordinator as well, because Travis Kelce's a matchup nightmare.
Yeah.
With his size and his mobility, he's got the mobility of a receiver with his route running,
Mm-hmm.
and you can look at his routes and tell that he has a lot of liberty in his routes. As for instance, he has a lot of option routes.
Yeah.
He doesn't really have set routes. He can take what the defense is giving him, and him and Mahomes have played together for so long, they're completely on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the routes, I've watched some of his routes, and it wasn't even a route. It was just him getting into a zone, into a soft spot, So, yeah, he's really good at that. They took advantage of it. And I do feel like the moment was too big for Baltimore.
To your point, the chemistry that those two guys have is just off the charts. You see that one throw where Mahomes running for his life in the first half, and he just escapes the pocket some kind of way after waiting for about 10 seconds, and he throws the ball, and it looks like he's throwing it away. And here comes Kelsey out of nowhere, dives for it, makes this spectacular catch. That's all improvisational. You can't really coach to that. That's just one of those things like you talk about chemistry. Let me ask you this, Kirk. Did you think I heard a lot of people chirping about some of the non-calls on the Chiefs? There's a few times where Odell kind of got stuck with the defensive back. It looks like he may have been holding. There was a couple of other times. Did you feel like, for just those people that always say it's the disparity and the officiating, what did you think about that? Did you see any disparities?
Anytime you watch the game away from the ball, when you have that keen eye for football, a lot of us, we watch the game away from the ball. We don't watch the ball. We watch what's going on away from the ball. And to be honest with you, I saw some of those questionable calls on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
I saw some things that could have went the Ravens' way, but didn't. That were no calls as well. So any football game, you're going to have a lot of no calls, and it could go either way. That's just the game. The refs can't catch everything. And then some things they let go, So I don't want to hear all that stuff where, the NFL wanted the Chiefs to be in the Super Bowl because of the whole, fandom with the Swift stuff and all that stuff. I don't believe in that. Who's to say the NFL wouldn't have wanted to see Lamar, get his first ring and be in the Super Bowl? That's great TV as well. So that's great ratings as well. So I think the Chiefs just beat them straight up. I think the Chiefs experience won out. Then, the Chiefs have had a rocky year, but maybe they're starting to gel here, when it counts. So,
looking at it to your point, those guys, all the mistakes that they were making in the regular season, all the drop balls that the Chief receivers were having, all of the, you're getting guys like Kadarius Toney off the field. Like, they didn't even play that guy. You don't even hear about him anymore at this point. Like, they put their best studs out there. MVS, about his Scantling, he's making catches that I didn't see him making the whole year. They don't have any penalties. Like, you can tell those guys flipped the switch. It's playoff time. They have turned it on, and they are not making any mistakes that's going to cost them the football game. So, you got to give credit to it.
Yeah. That's an earmark of an Andy Reid coach team. He's always been able to get through to his teams from a message standpoint of to make the moment not so big. This is the expectation that I have. Everyone doing their job, no mistakes, no costly penalties, and he's been a master at getting that message through to his team. So I'd like to be able to fly on the wall in his locker room, just see what he says to his team to get through to him, because he's a master at that.
And it's so weird because, like, when you see Andy Reid at the podium and you see him in these public events, he doesn't say much. He's not a rah-rah guy. He's not even a Belichick. He's not gonna like bore you with this accent. With his personality. He has personality, but he's not a guy that shows you much. And he's one of those guys that the players love him, and you can tell behind closed doors he is a hell of a personality, and he goes about it the right way, in my opinion. He doesn't give you much at the podium. But the guys, they respect what he say, and they know he's a proven winner. So big props out to Andy Reid. I think he doesn't get enough credit for this run. We give a lot to Mahomes and Kelsey and things, players of that nature. But I mean, he is another rock solid coach that you don't have to worry about certain things with Andy Reid. His team is going to be prepared and ready to play when the lights come on.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. There's just certain coaches. He's one of those coaches that has evolved with the times, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what got the best of Belichick is he didn't quite evolve with the times as far as like the way that the game is played today.
Yeah.
Reed has evolved with the time. He's mixed a lot of his discipline, high expectations in with this new way of football, and it's working. And then it doesn't hurt that you have an elite quarterback. Anytime you have
Mm-hmm.
an elite quarterback and you're able to put together a defense like they've had this year, you're gonna have more chances to win than not. So
Yeah, yeah, that's another underrated aspect. I think guys think they see Mahomes, they think about Kelsey. That defense has been lights out. I mean, the whole year. What, like you said, they may be top two, top
number
three in
two in
the
the league.
league. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best defense that they had in the Mahomes era, and they got time to gel. They had time to get through those wide receiver issues that they had, the penalties that we talked about, the offense, coming together. So now, perfect time, perfect moment as a championship team. That's why I never counted them out. A lot of people saying the Ravens this year, this is their year. They look like, I was like, well, they got the other guy on the sidelines, Mahomes, and that defense. And we know both, Kirk, you was on the defensive side of the ball. Defense travel. I don't care if it's the playoffs. I don't care if it's cold. I don't care if it's warm. If you have a good defense, you can put up against anybody. You can play and beat anybody at any time.
Yeah, sound defense, disciplined defense, a defense that plays their gaps, a
Mm-hmm.
defense that doesn't make mistakes, doesn't give up big plays, a stingy defense, and then it helps to have that guy in the middle like the Chiefs have.
Yeah, Chris
Is it
Jones, man.
Nick Bolton? I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh, okay. Both. Yeah.
that dude is all over the field, man. Everywhere
Yeah.
you go, I loved him out of college. So, they have greatly improved their defense, and I think they did a good job on the offensive line too, improving that. Because if you think about it, last year their offensive line struggled. They brought in Jawan Taylor, and then they
Mm-hmm.
got Smith on the other side at the other tackle. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Tennessee boy
they
right there. Yeah.
they've done a solid Tennessee guy. I liked him.
Mm-hmm.
Trey Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Loved him out of college. So yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting, man. And then on the other side, the NFC, the Lions, man, they fought hard, man. They had a great turnaround. That's like the turnaround story of the year up against the Niners with all that experience. The Niners have sniffed around, being a Super Bowl champion. I think
Yeah.
that experience may have won out with them as well. What was your take on that game?
Like you said, both teams that's already been here before, they were ready for the moment. I mean,
Yeah,
and you got to give San Francisco a lot of credit. It was ugly in the first half. I mean,
yeah,
to the point where I was concerned. I was like, man, is this one of those games where, man, like I'm just gonna be looking at it on mute because like I'm doing stuff in the background because I'm not gonna turn it off. I'm gonna watch, but is it gonna keep my attention? Because it was a chance that they almost got blown out, and it was
yeah,
almost gonna be one of those type of games. But I had to say it, Dan Campbell, man. I mean, I get that he's a gambler, right? He's going to go for it on fourth down. He's established that throughout the entire season. He's a guy that's going to go for it in those situations. But he really cost his team. I mean, there's no other way to look at it. Like, they could have took the points a couple of times, and they could have been up in that game, and the momentum could have swung completely different. But it wasn't just Dan Campbell's decisions. That drop by Josh Reynolds, I mean, come on, man. I mean, you can't serve it up any better than that.
yeah.
It just felt like, again, the moment was a little bit bigger than what the Detroit Lions, which is weird to say because we never had them in this type of situation, but the moment was too big for them. That's
Yeah.
what it seemed like when I got out of it as well.
Do you think when the Lions got up big, do you think they got too conservative, or what do you think?
Well, I think they started thinking that they won the game. If you looked on the sidelines and some of the stuff, the antics that they were doing, what's his name? Chauncey Gardner Johnson is waving at the crowd and he's blowing kisses and saying this is over and things like that's an inexperienced team right there. The
Yeah,
game is not over until those triple zeros on the clock, and he's already bragging. I get that you want to have that bravado about you to make it seem like you're good or whatever, but the 49ers stood tall with those guys. And when they got the rolling in the second half, I knew when they went up, I was like, this game's over. Detroit
yeah,
does not have the mentality to come back from this. They've been defeated, from a mentality standpoint that they're not going to be able to come back from this lead.
yeah. Well, like you said, when I felt like when the 49ers got rolling in the second half, I thought that Campbell and Aaron Glenn, they weren't making the right defensive adjustments
No.
to contain the 49ers.
Yeah.
And that goes to inexperience. Aaron
Mm-hmm.
Glenn is a inexperienced defensive coordinator. Dan Campbell he is an inexperienced head coach, on this level of football in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think, like you said, the moment was too big for them. They started celebrating too early. And the 49ers are loaded, man. I think the 49ers just came out in the first half. I think they just were
They were
in
flat.
a small slump.
Yeah,
And
they were
then
flat.
I don't know what he told them at halftime, but they realized a sense of urgency in the game, and Purdy starts throwing some strikes.
I still kind of wonder about Purdy because like some of those passes, even though they're landing, it's
Mm-hmm.
like, man, this is this is a dangerous throw, or like I don't know
Yeah.
if he has the arm for this, but some kind of way it gets through there. He makes the pass to Kittle. He gets the pass off to like the one to Ayuk. That's pure luck.
Yeah.
Where the guy like drops the ball and it just falls into Ayuk's hands. But luck always seems to be on his side some kind of way. But it's just been a few throws where it's like, I don't know if this guy is good. I don't know if he's lucky.
Yeah.
But he has such, like you said, they are so loaded that if you just get the ball in Debo's hands, if you just get the ball in McCaffrey's hands, they're going to do good things with it. It doesn't
Yeah.
take much to be a good quarterback in their system. So I think the 49ers did realize in the second half, these guys are good, but they're not as good as us. Let's put our chin straps on. Let's go do what we came out to do. And let's not have a repeat of last year. Last year, I think a lot of people don't forget the motivation that when Purdy went down and they was down to their third string quarterback last year in the NFC Championship game against the Eagles, you work this hard to get back to this point. And there's never a promise that you're going to get back to this point again. So I
Yeah.
think that had to be the message. Guys, let's take advantage of what we have in front of us. We don't know who can get hurt, what can happen next year. Let's make sure we take advantage of it. And that's what they did against an inexperienced Lions team that celebrated too early.
Yeah, because you put in so much work in the offseason, and then you go through this grueling season. So to just lay down in the second half and be like,
Yeah.
hey, they're up big, we're going to lay down. You can't do that. You got to go out to the last whistle, fighting,
Mm-hmm.
because, you don't want to have any regrets coming up in this new offseason. Say, we could have, should have, would have. You want to go out fighting. And that's what they did. And I think Kyle has done a great job of, seems like he's lost coaches and he's
Mm-hmm.
being able to put new coaches in place and not miss the beat, because think about that, with Ryan's leaving, they've been able to plug and play and keep it going. So, and then I think the same thing about Purdy, man. Some of those throws is like, is he good? Is he good or is he just lucky?
Yeah.
But he finds a way to get it done, man. And I'm just really intrigued about the matchup of Mahomes being the highest paid quarterback and Purdy being one of the lowest paid quarterbacks.
Yeah. That's a good angle.
That's crazy, bro. But
I just, for the Lions to score 24 points in the first half and put up 3 in the second half, again, like you said, experience makes adjustments.
yeah.
And, Steve Wilks, you talked about him, defensive coordinator for San Francisco now.
Great hire.
This guy, great hire. I mean, right? This guy's been a former head coach with the Panthers. He coached with the Arizona, not for long, but, he still has the experience. And that moment, okay, let's make my adjustments. Let's make sure to shut them down and score 3 points, because in that first half, Jamar Gibbs, David Montgomery, they looked like they couldn't be stopped. Their run game was impeccable. A couple of times we've seen them go down the field. So to make those adjustments, and Dan Campbell, I love an emotional coach that, wears it on his sleeve. He's able to relate to his players, but I think sometimes that emotion goes against him sometimes. He's thinking, I don't know how you feel about analytics, about I should go for it in these moments. The analytics tells me that it makes more sense to do it. Sometimes you just got to coach with your gut. You got to get the momentum of your team. You got to get the feel of what your team is doing. And I think that's one thing he's got to learn. If you can balance out, because I don't mind the aggression. I love to see coaches go for it on fourth down and, get to inspire their team and things like that. But you can't do it every time. You got to think in that moment sometimes. And I think they got the best of them. But to your point, to this matchup, I think this is the matchup that a lot of people want to see, the Ravens and the 49ers. In the back of your head, if you're a real football fan, you know that you can never count Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and their Kansas City team out. So this was a realistic projection to see these two teams go to it. And I think this is going to be an absolute chess match of these two teams going into it for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. There is a balance. I do believe in analytics completely. But like you said, when your team has that momentum, that may be the time to go forward or take a chance. But you can't do that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's a balance, and I don't think he's quite grasped that yet. And yeah, he's great at motivating guys and getting guys to want to run through a brick wall for him. But you also have to be able to manage a game. And
Mm-hmm.
let's be honest, he struggled with that as well. So
Yeah.
um,
Let me ask you this, Kirk. I mean, you've been a former coach of things. Like when that happens, let's say you go for it on a fourth down, you don't get it. It's a 4th and 1. For whatever reason, it didn't go through. How does that demoralize the team? Like, as from a coaching standpoint, are you going to players and saying that's okay? All right, let's make sure we get our head back in the game. Like, what are we doing as a unit to inspire guys? Even though we didn't get that call, or we didn't get that first down.
yeah, it is a small hit of deflating the team if it happens once. If it happens twice in a game, it really can. It's like getting punched in the gut. Because
Yeah.
let's be honest, a lot of those fourth and short calls are just man on man. We got road graders and we're gonna root you out of here and get
Mm-hmm.
this inch or whatever we need. So it's like getting punched in the gut. When you don't get it. And if you get punched in the gut twice in a game or maybe 3 times,
That's
it
tough.
does deflate the morale of the team. So
Yeah.
that's why you have to be calculated when you take those chances and when you don't. And when you got high momentum, you can take that chance of getting punched in the gut. Because I
Yeah.
mean, you win in the fight, your guys are riled up. The sideline is hype. I'm gonna tell you one of
Mm-hmm.
the key things about team chemistry in football is when your team is making plays and that sideline is so important because when that sideline is rolling, it's like a party on the sideline.
Yeah.
Like everybody's so hype and motivating the team and the
Mm-hmm.
energy of your squad, man. It seems like it trickles down to the guys on the field, and you feel like you can't be stopped.
Yeah.
It is a adrenaline boost like nothing I can describe, especially in the NFL, especially in a playoff game.
Oh
Because
yeah.
I've been involved in a playoff game, and that energy is like magnified times 100 compared to a regular season game. And I'm gonna tell you, the different levels of football, it's hype on a high school sideline when your team
Yeah.
got momentum, and then
Yeah.
when you get to the college level, it's even greater. And the NFL, it's just magnified. It's like it's I can't even describe it with words, man. And then the playoffs, I mean, you could just imagine. You
I mean,
know, if I could
the way
describe it
that
with words, I would. I'm doing the best I can, but yeah, it's crazy.
I asked you that question because I can just see like the airs out the balloon when they don't make that. I see guys like you said they're hype, they're jumping around, they're jumping with the towels and high
Yeah,
fiving each other, and then when they don't get that call, you see guys they just sitting there, it's glum.
yeah,
And I've coached. I haven't coached as a professional. I've coached like high school. I've coached a little bit, with my son and going in. Like you said, when you take that air out that balloon, it is so hard to get that back.
yeah,
What you hear, it's like it's magic. And when you take it out and you don't have it anymore, you're doing everything that you can to try to get that back.
yeah.
And like you said, when the stakes are that high and the NFC a chance to go to the Super Bowl and you do this multiple times and it doesn't work, I can imagine, Kurt.
Yeah. And one thing I've noticed through my time around football is the best way to get that energy back to your sideline when you do get punched in the gut and you don't get a fourth and short.
Mm-hmm.
The best way to get it back is 2 ways. You have to have great leadership on your team,
Mm-hmm.
great leadership from within the players, and leadership to the point where they can motivate them back, as
Yeah.
well as a coaching staff that can also motivate them back up as well. That trickles down to each position group, especially a pit bull offensive line coach. If you got
Yeah.
an offensive line coach that's a pit bull, and sometimes you got to curse them out to get them big boys moving.
You
That's
gotta
how
let
you
them
get them
know.
big boys moving. If
Yeah.
you get them big boys moving, you can dominate the line of scrimmage. Yeah,
Yeah. I just hate to see that because I think before we get to Super Bowl time, I think Campbell he has it though. He has enough of whatever that is, that it factor that he can get guys like you said run through a wall for him, do certain things that other coaches can't. Some of these boring stagnant coaches, He just got to figure out that last part. When to know when to take the momentum, when to just hold serve, kick the field goal, punt the ball, whatever it is. Once he figures that out, I think Dan Campbell's a damn good coach.
Yeah.
Just want to say
And
that.
one thing I want to see is he able to do. It looks like he's losing his offensive coordinator that's going to the Panthers.
Yeah,
Can he replace that guy?
yeah.
One of the true marks of a great head coach is the ability to hire great assistants,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you've had success and you're going to be losing assistants left and right because of the success you've had. Can you fill those voids with someone just as good? So, or
Look at
better.
Shannon. Look at Shanahan and Reed, two guys that's in the Super Bowl right now. Shanahan has relentlessly replaced that defensive coordinator. He has relentlessly, Andy Reid has had to replace Eric Bieniemy. He,
Yeah.
Matt Nagy came back in. So to your point, you should have guys already in waiting because
Yeah.
if I'm a good program, people are going to come and scoop these guys. But that's to your point. I'm gonna keep you rolling from there.
Yeah, definitely. So how do you see this matchup coming out? I mean, we got Vegas, Las Vegas. Can you imagine what kind of
Oh
high
Lord.
rollers are going to be going through Vegas? I mean, they calling it the Swift Bowl. That's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
and man, what a great city to have a game in. State of the art stadium, and a great matchup with some high profile players. I'd love to be there, man. I would like to be a fly on the wall down there that week.
Well, I went to Vegas. Was it about a couple of years ago, and when I
Uh,
went, I took the stadium tour of what was it, Allegiant Stadium. It's
yeah,
beautiful. Let's just
it is.
start there. I mean, that thing is absolutely state of the art. It's got everything that you can ever want. And one of the cool things that they do when you go on the stadium tour, they have a drone. They take a drone and it goes like around any dimension of the stadium that you want to, and it shows you all these different parts and things like that. That thing is beautiful. Let's just
That's
say
dope.
that. But I I would think that being a Super Bowl in Las Vegas, you want to see two high flying offenses. You want entertainment. It's Vegas, right?
Yeah.
And I think that these offenses provided. We talk about the weapons with San Francisco. If you put Patrick Mahomes on San Francisco, you talk about a high flying system that you would see. But I think that it's going to come down to the defenses. We talk about the offense all the time, and of course, we know that's what sells tickets. But what wins championships is those defenses, and I think the defense is able to make the better adjustments because San Francisco comes with all the weapons that you're going to have to do. Kansas City's offense comes with Mahomes and Kelsey. How are you going to figure out that puzzle? Whichever defense is able to limit the other team just enough, I think that's what we're looking at as a Super Bowl champion.
Yeah. I think one thing I'm looking to see is I think we're gonna have a high scoring game. If Brock Purdy can stay healthy. You remember last year
Yeah,
he got
yeah,
injured early in the game. If Christian McCaffrey can also stay healthy, he's had some injury history because those are the two main weapons that they have that they're going to need to produce points. And I agree with you. I think it's going to be a game where we see each team over 30 points. And if everyone stays healthy, I think it can come down to like the last play. I think this could
yeah.
be one of the most exciting Super Bowls we've seen in a while.
I'm excited to see. One thing that I noticed in that game against the Lions, Purdy uses legs a lot more, and
Yeah,
I think that's an underrated thing about him. Again, you don't have to be the fastest, most elusive guy out there, but if you know when to go,
when to
and
go.
like when situations don't make any sense, and you just got to get out of there. And Purdy showed that to me. That's one thing that I kind of took note of. I said, okay, Purdy could kind of move.
Yeah,
He can get out of danger when he needs to. So I think the Chiefs up the middle, to your point, Bolton, Chris Jones, those two guys up the middle, they're going to cause havoc. That's what they do. And I
yeah,
think if Purdy's able to use his legs, get the ball to Debo, get the ball to McCaffrey, I really want to say that I think that the favorite should be the 49ers. And I think, what's the line in Vegas? The 49ers, I think they're taking the line right now.
I
Or is
hadn't
it
looked at
Kansas
it
City?
yet. I hadn't looked at it
Yeah,
yet.
I'm looking, but I would anticipate, I would think that the 49ers will be the favorites going into it. It's closer to San Francisco as in Vegas.
Yeah,
So you want to talk about home field advantage and things like that. And the 49ers look like the team I would think would be just a slight favorite. But Mahomes is one of those teams, he's like the old Brady, like the old Patriots. They can have the disadvantage talent wise, but they got Brady or they got Mahomes. So you
yeah,
can't never count those guys out.
yeah, yeah. I agree with you. You know, I wanna pick the 49ers. I mean, all signs point to the 49ers being able to win this game, but that's what makes it so intriguing. With the experience of Mahomes and Kelsey, as well as how well the offensive line is playing, how well the defense is playing, it's
Mm-hmm.
really difficult. And Andy Reid's game plan.
Yeah.
Andy Reid is one of the best game planners in football. So it's going to be difficult to bet against them, man. My instinct tells me to go with KC.
Yeah. They've been there. Shanahan's got to get one, Kurt.
Yeah,
Shanahan's got to get one, man. I mean, look, you had the debacle with the Falcons, 28-3. We all know the story there.
yeah,
Lost to the Chiefs,
yeah,
and another Super Bowl. So if Kyle Shanahan could keep getting to the mountaintop, but he can never get over the top, you
yeah,
start to get that question in your head: can you win the big one, man? And I think
yeah,
that everything that he's been doing, I mean, he's innovative. His coaching tree is crazy. All the guys that came from his coaching tree that's getting jobs now. The only thing Shanahan has not done is win this game. So
yeah,
I know he's going to do everything that he can, every game plan, stuff that we've never seen him pull out. He's going to do it, but he's got to do it, Kirk. Like I'm tired of hearing his name as one of the best coaches, which I think he is. But I just hate to see guys go this long without getting that ring. It's time.
yeah, yeah. I think with what he's done on the field with his team, as well as an underrated factor with San Francisco, is John Lynch. The
Yeah,
way he's built this team and the
yeah,
transactions that he's been able to make. I mean, it seems like it's their time to get it done. It seems like it is their time to get it done. And, I'm rooting for the 49ers. You see my background. I want to see the 49ers pull it out. And I think
yeah.
they have a really good chance. But Purdy's going to have to play. Purdy's going to have to play well with his legs the way he did this
Mm-hmm.
last game. He's
Yeah.
going to have to make some plays with his legs. And, yeah, man, I can't wait to watch it.
So if you had to put a number on it, like if we, because you got a lot of people that sports bet. Let's do this. If you had to put a number on the over under 45 points for the game score, because they usually set about 40, 45 points. Would you
Yeah.
do over or under point wise there?
I would do San Fran by 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
San Fran by 7.
Yeah.
Total points over 50. Give me a second. I got to stop. Give me a
Definitely
second.
over 50.
Would you do it over, you say 50?
Definitely over 50 total points.
I would give over 50. Uh, if you want to go talk about individual stats, who do you think this game leans towards? Like if you're talking about MVP, like who's going to put up the numbers? McCaffrey is going to be Debo.
Yeah.
If you want to go on the other side, if you think it's going to be Mahomes, who would you put the odds-on favorite for that?
Yeah. I think they're going to try to make Caffrey the MVP. I think he's going to be well indoctrinated in his game plan with getting him enough touches to give him the opportunity to be an MVP. And with that kid with the ball in his hands, one-on-one against any of those KC linebackers, it's lights out. You can't stop
Yeah.
that kid. So I think the game plan is going to be designed around McCaffrey. I think Debo is going to be a decoy. I think he's going to be used more as a decoy. I think McCaffrey's going to get way more touches. And not to say Debo won't have a solid game, but I think McCaffrey's going to get enough touches to have the opportunity to be MVP.
You know what? I'm not going to count out Kelsey because the way Laporta for the Detroit for the Lions, Laporta, I don't know his stats, but it felt like he had like 50 catches in that game, and he was open a lot. Now I know that you're not going to be able to, you're going to focus that game plan a little bit on Kelsey because he's one of those guys that makes the offensive go. But I just see that there's going to be some holes in that defense that Kelsey can exploit, and Mahomes is going to find them. So if I had to put like an under X Factor MVP, maybe I think Kelsey. This could be one of those games. You got the Swifties, right? You got all this momentum and everything. I can see him having one of those type of games, man, where he could like really pull away on this one as well.
Yeah. I think the X factor in this game is going to be the 49ers defensive line. I think the 49ers defensive line is an unfair advantage compared to KC's offensive line. I think KC, especially on the right side with Taylor, they struggle. They struggle against great pass rushers. And the way Chase Young looked yesterday, I mean,
yeah.
Frisco got some boys that can get after that ball.
Bosa looked good too. Bosa, he had two or three sacks himself. So
yeah,
you know that defensively, that defensive line, that is, and that I think is it Joe Thuney on that side. Maybe he plays in this game because it was definitely noticeable. But the thing is, Mahomes really still didn't get touched that much because, again, we talk about offensive line, but Mahomes is always smart enough. He knows when to run. He
Yeah,
knows when to throw it away. And
yeah,
that's just the experience. So I expect to see, maybe to your point, I won't give away our pick. Maybe we'll do this another week because we got a couple of weeks before the Super Bowl. I won't give away my pick. I want to see who's in, who's out, and things like that. But I would think that I believe that the San Francisco should be the favorite. I'll leave it at that.
yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna analyze who's in, who's out. Is Tony gonna play this game, and make a decision probably on our next show, next week as far as my score prediction there.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm with you. I want to see it, but I mean, here's still a great football season, right? You got four teams in there in this championship game. Even though maybe Lamar and the Ravens, they didn't feel like they lived up to expectations in that game, it still was a pretty good game play. It was watchable. And I feel like at this time of the season, that's all I ask for. I want two competitive championship games, right? I want to see this go down the line, and I can get with my homeboys or my family, and I can watch the game. We can have a little party, and it
Yeah.
feels like I don't have to turn it off. And I want to see a good game. And same thing
Yeah.
for the Super Bowl.
What's the plan? Y'all doing a Super Bowl party?
I think so. Like my house has become over the years the place where people want to come to. I like to throw something on the grill, maybe fry some fish or whatever it is. Get the
Yeah.
guys over. And see, for me, when it gets to this point, I don't want people to just watch a little football here and there. I want some guys to know what we're talking about. I don't want to turn to the guy and he's asking me, who's these teams? No, 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 no. I want some guys to know, hey, Kelsey's got 3 touchdown passes on this offensive look when they got. I want some experts in there with me. I want to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about this. So I'm gonna get my guys together. We'll probably do something like that, man. What about
That's
you?
dope. I don't know yet, man. I was planning to do a Super Bowl party in Vegas, but that fell through. So I think I'm
I
probably
I
just
would have
gonna.
been there, Kurt. You should have said it. I would have showed up. I'm down for that now.
Hey, we was doing it at a strip club, man.
I would. Come on, dog.
Yeah.
You should be the first person you told was me because I would have made sure I got them tickets lined up.
Yeah, it fell through, man. But
Dang.
we'll get it next year. So this year, man, I don't know. I'm gonna try to do something local, like at one of the local bars, like a Super Bowl party.
Where you
So
at
if I
now,
could,
man?
if I could say it again,
Where you at now, though? Like, what city you in? You in
I'm on the
Portland
West
still?
Coast. I'm on the West Coast. I'm in Portland.
Okay, okay, that's what
Yeah.
I thought. Yeah.
So I'm gonna try to put together something at one of the local bars. But if not, then probably just probably do something with the family.
Yeah,
Bring the family
yeah.
out. Cook.
Well,
So
y'all hear that? If you're in the Portland area, Coach Kirk Broussard has said that he's going to have something available for you guys to come to. So y'all
yeah,
make sure y'all show up. Take a shot for me because it's the last game of the year. I
yeah.
want to put that out to everybody. Do your bets, drink your shots, eat your food because we're not going to get this again for another 7-8 months. Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long off season, man. It's hard. You got the Rock. The Rock got his new league coming up, the UFL. So I'll check
Yeah.
that out to see if it's competitive.
Yeah, I get the Jones and man, I get to scratch my neck about what it was about April. I'm like, man, I can't take it, man. I'm trying to dive into draft coverage and things like that, but there's nothing like the
Yeah,
on-field product. I love
yeah,
to see guys playing the game. So hopefully, this will be a great Super Bowl. This will be a good send-off, but I really do think it'll be a good one this year.
yeah. I think so too, man. I agree with you, man. Let
Yeah.
everybody know where they can find you at, man. All of our listeners.
So I'm jumping back into it, Kirk. I'll be back on your radio station down here in Nashville pretty soon, man. Starting next month, I'll be back on looking into Radio Free Nashville 103.1. We're gonna jump on and start to do some of those interviews and things like we did in the past. So look for some Titan coverage. We'll get down to some Grizzly games. Trying to expand out to the Atlanta market. Like I said, I've been down there a couple of weeks, so gonna jump back into it. At any time you can reach me for this type of commentary on Twitter, man. I'm at Lowe's Page, real easy to follow me there. Love to talk sports, man. And Kirk, let me tell you, one of my favorite guys to talk some ball with. Like I said, I like guys to know the game.
Yeah,
I played up to the high school level. I played basketball up to the college level. Man, I just like to talk about the game. All this stuff that they show us now, guys don't talk about the game no more. They talk about the outfits that they got on. They talk about what they doing with Taylor Swift, man. But let's talk about some real ball. And I think you get that with Coach Kirk Broussard and myself, man. So if you want that type of interaction, just know about the game itself, hook up with some guys like us, man. We'll keep you guys entertained. I tell you that.
yeah. We've been down over 10 years now, man.
Man, it's crazy. I
Yeah,
got a memory in Facebook one time. And I said, man, Kirk been rock for a minute. I didn't even think it was that long, like
I think it's like
2014, man.
11. It might be 11 years, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, like I said, guys to know the game and trying to actually analyze it the right way. Because right now with
yeah,
social media and things like that, man, guys don't talk about the game; they talk about everything else but the game. So
yeah,
these are the type of shows that we want to do it on and highlight those type of things. Kurt, don't
yeah.
nobody know the game better than you, man.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you, man. You always do a great job when you come on. That's why you my first call, man. When I need some good content, bro. Definitely.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You
Yeah.
know I got you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Well, let's try to get back on and as we get a little bit closer to the game, so we can revoice our opinions to everybody about how we think it's gonna play out, man. Definitely.
Sounds like a plan. You know I'll be ready, man. Just tell my time and the place, and we'll see how things shake out.
All right, Carlos. Thank you for the time, man. God bless.
Anytime, man. Stay up, Kurt.
All right.